Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Who the hell am I?
I'm a construction worker. I have to go to the bathroom. I said, be right back.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
Pasta.
Oh, I'm Detective John Kimball.
Who is your daddy?
Answer the question!
And what does he do?
Put that cookie down! Now!
Well, we did it.
Here we are.
Here we are at the last Terminator until the next Terminator.
Mm-hmm. It's the last Terminator until the fourth Terminator.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Into the Mr. Universe, our ongoing Arnold Schwarzenegger podcast.
Woo! Or should I say,
you should indeed. This is brought to our wonderful.
Got in there at the end.
Well, I mean,
they'd have
Arnold
a hell of a conversation. Yeah,
I feel like you get to Chewbacca through Arnold. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he's one of the Pokemon evolutions on your way to Chewbacca.
Yeah, at least
I think so.
I want to thank our producer Norm from Cheers. Norm from Cheers. Thank you so much for having us watch just every freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
All of the Arnold movies. It's been a delight. It's
been a true delight because we are now up to 2003's Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. Terminator 2 was what 97, I want to say? 98? 93? It's 93, isn't
91.
it? 91!
97, man. Wow, you're throwing out some wild guesses. That's when Judgment Day takes place.
You're right. It's just that this doesn't feel like it was made that much later. Like, Arnold doesn't look that much older, I guess.
He looks a little weird in some shots just because they've caked a lot of makeup on him in some scenes.
Right.
But it is wild watching a new-ish movie. Like, this is the first one that we've got to that really feels like the new era of action movie filmmaking, I guess.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Funny because it's his last film before becoming governor.
It's his last film before he becomes governor. Yeah, but so it was like what I'm trying to explain is that it was weird to see young-ish Arnold in this kind of setting. Like in this type of movie, because this movie has a totally different, like you immediately feel the difference between this and what the hell was the last thing we watched? End of Days? The Sixth Day.
Yeah. Sixth Day.
Sixth Day.
No, Collateral Damage.
Collateral Damage. Yeah. Even between that and this, like Collateral Damage still feels very late 90s.
I mean, I would say this also, we'll get into
this
it.
Feels this does feel a little 1999. This feels a little The Mummy.
It feels like they're trying to do James Cameron. It felt like this is so like my thought on this. I remember watching the teaser when I was working at Cinemark.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when this was like cutting edge and new, which just makes me feel so old. But like
they're really showing it off too in this one.
Yeah,
they're like CG Terminators.
Yeah, and this was the promise of like, okay, Arnold's still young enough that we can realistically do another Terminator, or so we thought. Again, they just write in, oh, they aged, now it's fine, which is okay. But
who cares?
Yeah,
Data's old.
This is exactly.
And they genuinely come up with a fun explanation for it in Genesis. Continue.
Oh no, they do. But it's that plus like, okay, but we have modern filmmaking, modern CGI,
modern technology for the effects.
Yeah, and so like we're gonna see Terminators really go at it. Weird thing. This movie is, you cannot find this movie online.
I know.
Yeah, it's not on streaming,
which is weird. I feel like it was just on Netflix.
Yeah, me too.
It's like losing a loved one to a heart attack.
Yeah,
it's like they were here one moment and now they're gone.
Where I think I have this on DVD, but there's an archive version of it. But that disturbed me.
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's like well, actually, I don't think the rights thing is a thing anymore, but because it's that Skydance thing, I'm not. I mean, that whole thing.
Yeah. But we can get into the plot. I do want to say at the top of this that I seem to like this movie more than other people, including, I guess, the company, because they're burying it because there's nowhere to find it.
Mm-hmm. It's weird I can find Terminator Salvation and not Terminator 3.
Yeah. I do think this is, like I said, trying to fit into the James Cameron version of Terminator, and it's sort of the last one that tries that. And what I mean is things like the pacing. Like we get the individual, okay, here's the bubble appearing for this one. Here's the bubble appearing for this one. We get the how does he get his outfit? Mm-hmm. Like we get all right, we need a truck chase.
How do they intercept John Connor?
Yeah, practical stunts and effects for the action worked into CGI. We get like some James Cameron little moments, like I thought, where like the car chase, truck versus car, and they're driving through the yards and it hits a pool and it makes a little squeak. Like there's like little moments that felt like, okay,
that didn't feel Cameron to me.
That felt Cameron to me.
That felt Looney Tunes.
See, I think Cameron will have like little moments like that every
not
now
in
and
Terminator 2, not in the Terminator and Terminator 2.
I don't know. Something about that. Maybe it felt, I don't know. It felt 90s, I guess. I thought there's a right amount of gore in this, like the punching through the cops.
Yeah,
little
although
things like that.
This controversially was PG-13, was it not?
Oh, I don't know. It felt like there's just little things in it that made me feel like this. Like I like the kidnapping stuff. I like that dynamic, right? Of like bringing in a new character who is actively like resisting it,
right?
And having to like, I just think there's some really good dynamics in it with character stuff.
I like the character stuff. Like I like the continuation of where John Connor is, like what's happened to him after the events of Terminator 2, and kind of when he and the Terminator get to have more scenes together, he gets to sort of talk about kind of, he just talk about the relationship that they used to have. And I don't know, there was like, I liked all the character stuff, but I thought the rest of the movie is bad. Like sure. Bad. Yeah.
I like the action. The first truck chase I really like.
The truck chase gives this movie it's the strongest argument this movie makes for its existence, is that truck chase. It's pretty sweet.
Right. And I like the ending only for the reason that I'm starting from the point of view that I do like the ending.
I do like the ending, but it just ends with, Judgment Day was inevitable, and they tried to, it's just Terminator 2 ended it so perfectly.
Right.
That
I guess
it's just having it again was like, maybe not psyche. Judgment Day happens again anyway. Here we go. It's like, that's cool. That the last decade we spent thinking that they had thwarted Judgment Day.
What it comes down is that any Terminator sequel does that, right?
Right. They have to.
Yeah.
So my ultimate argument is they shouldn't make any more after Terminator 2.
That's my
betraying
ideal.
The story.
Yes, that's my ideal version, is that they simply shouldn't have made...
No, that's... Yeah. Like I said, it is betraying the story that you told.
But since they did, this feels like they circle back to the first movie. Like, it almost feels like they complete a loop. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
It's all like just a big circle is kind of the feeling. And I do like that moment at the end when you realize that her dad, they're like, why did they send us here? And they're like, to live. And it's like, why did the Terminator bring us here? Like, well, that was his mission. Like, and he does like imply that it's like, he says to her, I lied. There's this whole implication of like the Terminator being disingenuous to them for their own protection is planted throughout. And it's like, it's sort of like, it's almost like a more horror ending of like, yeah, the biggest lie of all is that this whole time he was not at all helping them stop Judgment Day. He was just carrying out his original orders. Like the implication is almost that like, Claire Danes in the future told him as much of like, don't try to stop it. It clearly isn't, like just get us to safety. And I thought that was a really cool ending, and like the kind of ending that I'm like, that feels like a cutscene the studio would get rid of. Like that they would go like, no, you can't do that. You can't end it with the end of the world. It's just such a
It is pretty bold for a
ending.
mainstream blockbuster film to end that way.
Right. Especially in the sense that they thought probably like, we're not doing another after this. Or if we are, it won't be this again.
Certainly not of the same template of the original. And I you would have to feel like it certainly feels like this watching this again. So you have to assume that at the time they were also like, this is going to be the last one with Arnold.
Yeah. And so like, that's all to say that when like they were sitting around, like, again, they shouldn't have made this, but if they're like sitting in a room, locked in a room, forced to make it, I'm glad they said like, well, let's make it interesting at least. Like, it can't just be, we did it again. We
Parts
saved,
of it,
like,
I think my biggest problem with the movie is that I feel like it makes a lot of offers that it doesn't execute on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned the bubbling in scene, like the offer of like, what if the Terminator's a hot lady? That's fun.
I like that. Yeah. The TX.
And when they bubble in there, they're like, hers is just, she kind of bubbles in to this store in Beverly Hills and then just takes this lady's car and then gets pulled over by the cops. It's just when they arrive in our time, like those scenes in both the first and second Terminators were like really big sequences, like really like impactful or sinister or like memorable. You know, like
Here's what I'll say.
It just felt like they throw it away in this one, and that's a really strange way to introduce your new Terminator.
I wish they wrote the TX differently.
Yeah.
So the TX, the biggest issue to me with this film is that the TX, I like Hot Lady Terminator, obviously.
Yeah, that's a fun idea. Let's go with that.
But Hot Lady or not, it really doesn't matter. I think they just wrote her to be the T-1000 again. But she's a worse version of the T-1000, meaning that
they all have been. Like everyone that they're like, it's the T-1000 but better. It's like, no, you
Dark
just
Fate. I like the Dark Fate one.
Wait, but it's just two Terminators. You're just like, what if this Terminator wore a T-1000? We're like, yeah, that's cool. That's like T-1 Terminator Master Blaster.
Right, and I was thinking of what is a good evolution that you could say, oh my god, this is actually worse, like more powerful than the T-1000. And I realized what it should have been. And this could have easily coincided with her being a Hot Lady Terminator. What if it had personality? What if it could crack jokes? And what if it was charismatic? Like, what if it was more, its personality was more human?
Yeah, like what if
she could like pretend to like cower and cry when the cops get there? What if she can like talk her way into things? What if, because it's an infiltration robot, what if she was like could flirt and like chat up and like worm her way into situations more?
Yeah.
That's what would make her more powerful.
I always mix up scenes in this movie with another one that is now escaping.
I don't know.
My memory.
Terminator Genesis?
No. Well, okay, I don't shoot. There's a recent one that does this, but I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
you might know what I'm talking about. But like this should have done. Yeah, if it had gone back toward the initial idea of like an infiltration robot, like to cast somebody like Lance Henriksen who could just like, that does feel like the logical next step. Is if we make the T-1000 this like sleeker version that's more unassuming and that can kind of is a chameleon, can take on any role, but he's still just flat as a board. Like he can't really affect a personality. He can mimic a cop because that's how cops behave. But
and they could work
but you're right.
They could work in having more of a skeletal weakness into that, of being like, well, the new models, in order to better act like humans, they need an actual fucking computer in there. Like they could do it, they could work it in that way, right? Where it's like nanobots can't do this. Like they need like
a central CPU. You mean, like a central brain.
Yeah, like she could just have like a little like skull and spine or something in there. that they could tear out or something. But the basic idea being like, okay, this new infiltration robot can actually like act like a human in this time.
Right. It would just be a charming T-1000, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That I think would have been because it feels like they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, just
with
make Pedro Pascal a T-1000.
Yeah, there's
and
a
we're all
line
dead,
in this.
like humanity's doomed.
There's a line in this I thought, for better or for worse, sums up the movie, and it's the part where they pull up after Kate Brewster gets almost killed by her fiance, and they pull up in the hearse, and he says, "Get in. You want to live? Come on." And that is a obvious variation of "come with me if you want to live."
Mhm.
But they didn't want to do the exact line. And that to me sums up the whole movie, which is that they were like, we want to mirror those movies, but we don't want to, like, obviously they say "get out." She says, "I like your gun." There's obvious ones where they do
Lots
that,
of
but I
different,
felt
I'll
like
be back, she'll be back.
yes,
I am back.
they still do that shit, but overall I feel like they were trying to do a little more. They were trying to build, I think, because Arnold, the story is that Arnold refused to do this for the longest time until James Cameron was like, "Dude, just take the money. Just do it." But there's an implication that Arnold is still like kind of invested, and they are kind of invested in like, let's keep building this. It still mirrors the other stuff, so it's still derivative, but they're trying a little bit to like add a little more to it, right? Like, oh, she hacks other robots, which is that's what they thought was her new like cool thing. And it's like, that's not that cool.
No.
Hacking, she can hack cars. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, all right.
But
she only
hacking
does
the
it once,
Terminator.
by the way.
Yeah, hacking the Terminator is a cool idea if it wasn't resolved within 15 minutes. Like, that would have been
Less
a
than
cool
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a cool thing for them to do.
That's
for
what I mean.
longer.
Like they make a lot of offers that don't feel fully realized. And a lot of the action, a lot of the Terminator stuff, it felt like they were afraid to go real gritty with it, which is odd because Terminator before this point was a hard R franchise.
Yes, it has the 2000s sheen.
It has the
the
2000
effects,
sheen, and what I was getting ready to say is I had already said Looney Tunes, but there's a lot more like wackiness. Like there's a lot more physical gags with the Terminator in this that there just aren't in the other two. Like the Terminator is treated very seriously in the previous two films.
Terminator 2 is, I mean, they cut some of that when he
They
smiles.
they have fun with him.
John Connor
Yeah.
adds that element of like, he's more of like he's like a Poochie, where it feels like it's a little more like directed at like that point they knew the Terminator was beloved by kids, you know? Like there's that feeling of like, I think John Connor does kind of silly it up a little bit more of like teaching him high five.
Yeah,
like,
he adds the little
but it is
bit
still
of
grisly
yeah.
more than this.
It never feels like a different tone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think there's little things like the biker bar compared to the strip club. I like the idea of a strip club. That's a good idea, I thought, because it's like, all right, if you're going to do it again, a strip club is a fun idea.
It's a fun
of
idea
like,
for yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean, where it's like, I think
Like the
there's a lot of
doorman
good
like looks
ideas.
up at Arnold, nude Arnold is just like, yeah, entrance is in the back.
Right. There's a lot of really, like, I think there's a lot of good ideas in this that,
Yeah, again.
that
ideas
doesn't
that
have
don't
the
really-
best execution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good dynamics with the characters and so on. And it's fun
There's
to
not
see,
enough of that. I that's the stuff that I actually enjoyed.
right? And it's fun to see Terminators like because of CGI swing themselves around and like I thought it's a good marriage of CGI and practical for the most part.
For the
'Cause
most
it's
part,
very
it's-
practical more than
the
other
only
ones.
the only real issue with it is just now at this point 22 years later, shit.
Yeah.
The effects are dated. So the digital effects
Oh,
are
yeah.
dated, so they're way more noticeable to you now when they
Yes.
do put it in there.
Yes.
But the truck chase is still badass. Their fight is still okay. Like it still looks pretty good.
A lot of the Judgment Day stuff, the shots and stuff are because I had the DVD and the behind the scenes, way more practical than you think. Like they were leaning into it for a lot of it. I also like where they set the ending, because the first two films, it's like, okay, factory, where else? Factory again. And this one was like, okay, well, it's like a steel mill or whatever.
Yeah, the second one's a steel mill, but you get it. Like it's in a robotics lab is the first one.
Right.
And then the second one is melting it down. It's like
and I thought a base, a testing facility with like, like the collider and like all the, like I thought that was a good way to do, like it's a fact we have the same factory like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they crush them again, but it's in a door, in a blast
bunker,
door.
yeah.
Like I thought it was a good way to have like factory like equipment and settings, you know what I mean, without doing like a factory again.
Yeah, like updating that idea. Yeah, the magnet is a really cool idea.
Right, because if you think of all the later ones, they keep just going to factories.
They keep going to
or
factories.
factory-like areas.
Yeah.
Like even fucking the Salvation, the future one.
Yeah,
that's in a factory at the end.
It's not a factory. It does go to a factory. That's right, a Terminator factory. Now we've come full circle.
Genesis is a factory. It's the Cyberdyne or Genesis like.
It's Cyberdyne. So it's like
factory.
An office building, right?
Yes, but there's a big, if you remember, there's like a big downstairs like testing facility. That one they make Arnold the T-1000, if you remember.
No, I don't.
Fucking nuts. And then Dark Fate ends in a big weird factory. They just, so this is like weirdly the only one that doesn't end.
It's like a hydroelectric plant. It's a dam.
Right.
In Dark Fate,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
which is a cool idea. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And they involved the turbine. That was like Dark Fate was good. It was just too little too late.
It's just funny how they can only think of environmental kills. Like, how do we stop this thing?
Yeah.
We need some sort of large machine it can be thrown into.
We're going to need a stage fatality here to get rid of the Terminator. You're right. It always is.
Another thing,
like not even Reese does his limit break, his like special move. He stuffs a pipe bomb into his guts, and even that doesn't do it.
Right. The other funny thing I noticed about these movies is, at least up until this one, it's all West Coast, and I think that's just funny to me that it's all the same. Like it never gets past like Colorado, and it's so like it's like the fate of mankind. I know, it's just very funny to me that it's like. It's such a West Coast movie that I'm like, make a Terminator movie in Minnesota.
Put him in Boston. See what the fuck happens.
Yeah, put him in the snow.
Yeah, put him in Minnesota. Yeah, put him at the Mall of America.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Even the the magnet, like even that is like, oh, that's a cool idea, but how does she get out of it? Her arm opens up and a buzzsaw comes out, and I'm like, isn't the saw made of metal?
That felt like
what are we doing,
where
fellas?
The writers wrote it and then they went, shit.
Yep.
Yeah, because it would be like her skeleton wouldn't be able to move. That's it.
She would never get off that magnet.
Yeah. You'd have to do something. So here's a way to do it.
Terminator sees he has to turn it off to go past it.
Right.
She's already possessed him at that point.
That's what I was going to say. Have him shut it off because she's possessed him.
Because you would never get off that fucking magnet.
Yeah.
You can't saw your way off a magnet. The saw is not going to spin, guys.
No.
What do you think's stronger? That little saw's motor?
Yeah. Again, a lot of good ideas.
Ultra magnet. Yeah, a lot of cool ideas, especially when it starts pulling the liquid metal off of her. That was like, it's a cool idea and it's a cool visual.
She gets all lawnmower man looking.
Yeah, it's dope. Still, I mean, it looks a little cartoony, but it still doesn't look bad.
Yeah,
it's noticeable in the blended scenes, like I said. But anyway, yeah. It's just. I think it's like we said. It's a lot of good ideas that don't get the best execution, and in my opinion, it's a really weak opening. It's a weak introduction to the new villain, and it's a very weak opening until that.
I agree with that.
Until that first car chase.
Yeah,
and it's like this is the first Terminator. Just real quick, this is the first Terminator in 12 years. Every Terminator fan pretty much doesn't want this movie to exist, right? Like,
exactly.
As huge a Terminator fan as I was, I didn't want them to make another one because Terminator 2 is like, well, they ended it. It's perfect.
Right.
So it's like, you got to prove right out of the gate why this was worth making.
Yeah, and I do like the offer of the going after the other people. Like you know what would have been a really cool opening? You don't do John Connor. You open it with some kid at a party. Some new kid. You have the TX show up. You have Arnold. You have a like get down, like she tries to kill him. They get away. They're running, and then she kills the kid. Like have Arnold fail at the like have an opening like 10 minutes, 5 minutes where you think like, oh, this is the new main character, and then have her execute him. And you learn that was one of John Connor's generals that she kills at the beginning. Something like that, right? Like that would be a strong offer of like, because you just wouldn't expect the opening kid to get murdered. But again, like go back to slasher films, you know? We want to talk about Technically
3.
Not Arnold? Terminator 3.
Yeah, Terminator 3. I do. Yeah, let's talk about Technically Not Arnold.
This is Arnold, the actor. It's his third go around as the Terminator. He's a little older, a little wiser.
Yeah.
I like that they note how
more
heavy
stiff.
he is. Yeah. A little stiff. I like when the guy's like, this guy weighs a ton. I'm like, oh yeah.
He would.
They never talk about that.
They don't. Well, it comes up a little bit, but it's always like nobody ever goes like, this guy's fucking heavy. But it's
right.
Like when they're like when him and Robert Patrick are just slamming each other into walls, like Arnold's bulk is caving in the stone. So you're like, oh, well, he's a big robot under there. That's right.
This is why I want one set in New England. They're like go into an old house and he's just like, I can't go on the second floor of this house.
He would be able to go on the first floor.
Yeah. I'm going right through.
Yeah,
right
he would
through.
just go right through.
We get, let's see. We get him learning language. The new fuck you asshole is talk to the hand.
Oh boy.
See, I like that idea, which the broad idea, which is that we all know the Terminator learns language as he goes. So what if he's taught something stupid? Like that's a good idea. This isn't the best execution.
No.
Again, it's like, but I like that broad idea of like, you know, what if he's learned some dumb new slang from the 2000s? You know, it's kind of the equivalent of, you know, Furlong teaching him shit.
Yeah, no, totally.
There's an implication that he has retained some memories, which I'm not sure what that's about because he's a different Terminator.
He's a different Terminator. Yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about is there is like a subtle difference in the performance that you do notice right away. Like he starts out already like feeling like he's already learned how to be more human, like you're saying. I
have headcanon on that because we learn later that he killed John Connor, which I really like that. That implies that perhaps to infiltrate and kill John Connor at some point he was given those memories, or
how would Skynet have them though?
Or the other version is that he was taught those memories by John Connor before he killed him, or you know some idea of like, or when they reprogrammed him and sent him back. Yeah, those were like memories that John Connor had. Like, okay, here's some tips along the way of like, or that Kate had more like it. Like,
yeah. So like, I think the first thing he says when he saves him from, it's like he doesn't say like, "Come with me if you want to live." He like cries out. He's like, "Look out!"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Fuck, this is okay Terminator being Papa Bear."
Yeah, I like how he bullies John Connor a lot. Like he does.
He kind of bullies them both. Like when she tries to leap out of the back of the truck, he just grabs her and then is holding her up like a toddler. Then sets her down on the ground to toss her back inside the van.
The implication of me is that like when he went after John Connor, they were like, listen, he's a kid, he's fragile, you can break his bones easily. And then going after adults, they're like, all right, he can take a little more damage. You can throw him around a little bit if you need to. Because he does, he like grabs pulls him along. And it's like, yeah, he's like in his 20s, it's fine. They can handle it.
Well, like I think he mentions it in Terminator 2, but they have they're basically like physicians. Terminators are their knowledge of the human systems are so intricate so they can kill you however they need to, which is funny because you're a fucking Titanic metal Hulk. You can just crush all of our heads. You don't need any special knowledge about human physiology. Just crush our heads, dude, with your metal fists.
Yeah. Lesson 101.
With your impossible metal fists.
Yeah. I wish there was an extension because I was thinking about his explosive tummy.
But anyway, what I was saying is he probably knows exactly how hard and how far he can toss them before it becomes a problem.
Yes, if he has to get them out of a room real quick.
Yeah.
He knows, yeah. And he probably has increments of like, okay, they won't die.
This would be an
this
acceptable
way.
injury, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to break his
arm,
leg, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can carry him for the rest. He doesn't need legs. He doesn't need legs to.
He
really
just hobbles him immediately. This
Yeah.
is easier. No, I don't have to keep chasing you down.
Yeah, I wish they played in this more because she says to him like, if we get killed, it doesn't mean anything to you. And the broader implications is he doesn't care if anybody but them get killed.
Correct.
And so like I was thinking about his explosive tummy, which is a new thing they add, which is whatever.
Sure.
It's weird it didn't come up before.
It's weird it didn't detonate and kill Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it feels like this would have been an easy
or
way.
the rest of them in the steel mill. I feel like if that tiny nuke went off in that little steel pool,
right,
it would have caused some splashies.
But he throws it out the window, and I was thinking like, would he do that in the city? And I realized because he knows Judgment Day is coming.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, and I almost
he'd throw it at a school, Dave, if they were passing one.
Right. And I wish like if they leaned into R more that there was more like him just killing civilians and then being like, you need to stop doing that. And the realization is in his mind, it's like, they're dead already.
Right. He's just, no, it's okay. They're slaves in the Matrix.
Yeah.
We're setting them free.
They taught him the Matrix.
Taught him the Matrix. He knows the Matrix. They're both robots. They hang out.
Yeah.
Skynet and the Matrix hang out. You know they do.
Yeah. I don't have much else. My final note is I wish it lasted longer. His malfunction scene, I think Arnold performs that very well. Yeah,
he performs just a little bit of like it's funny to talk about Terminator as a performance because like, well, he's just acting like a robot, but of course there's always a little bit more to it. And it's interesting that even just this little bit of sauce is enough for you to instantly notice. Like you're instantly like, okay, there's going to be a reveal here. Like, right. Why is he already like this?
And there's like a sadness.
Yeah, he seems really sad.
Right, where it's like, but it's a malfunctioning where it's like, it's not that he's emotional, it's like he's struggling.
Yeah.
His face is struggling and then he just freezes. I really liked that.
Right, yeah, that's a good scene.
Yeah. Again, I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, that could have been a lot more of this movie.
You know what honestly would have been more interesting is instead of trying to one up the T-1000 by coming up with a bigger robot, just have it be Arnold again, but have it be an Arnold that is specifically designed to play against John Connor's sympathy and nostalgia and love, honestly, for the original.
That would be cool.
For like he tells him in this movie, he's like, you're the only father figure really that I ever had.
Right.
A fucking robot from the future that I knew for 3 days.
John Connor like, want to play catch, son. Just like,
yep.
Just keeps smiling and reaching out his hand. Like, yeah.
Yeah. He's like this dental dummy smiles.
Yeah.
Just a cold machine smile.
That would have been really interesting. There's a lot of interesting ways. Again, it feels like they couldn't get past, like, it's so funny because I know logically why this would be the case, but every time it's like, okay, so there's a new Terminator, it's trying to kill you, it's really powerful. Me? I'm just the same crappy robot as before, and it's
I don't
like,
know
God
why
damn
they keep sending the same piece of shit.
Right, and I know the implication is that, like, they just don't have the cooler models, right? That's the
right.
It's like, these are the only ones we could get, you know? You're lucky
the more they keep doing it, though, it's like, Jesus, can you guys get a hold of one of these?
Yeah. Just give one T-1000.
Catch a T-1000, please. Dedicate an entire... Yeah. That's all. Yeah. That should be the next, like, that's your next mission. That's the only thing that matters. The next mission for humanity is to catch a T-1000 so we can teach him tricks.
Yeah, for the love of God. This is why you need to watch the Sarah Connor Chronicles. There's a lot more going on in that. There's like robot politics. There's like factions within factions and stuff. Like they really muddy the lore in a way that I enjoyed for a TV show. Because like if you mentally like obviously it's like John Connor, they're played by different people. So like think of it as like reading a comic, right? Where you're like, okay, this is a different thing than the movies, and they go places with the plot of that I thought was fun.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You keep trying to push that on everyone.
I know. There's only one season. It's great.
The last little thing I had written down for Arnold is he throws first responders out of a fire truck, which is a bold filmmaking decision in 2003.
He should have been like, "Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service."
You
Look,
are a
I was
hero.
really expecting that. I was expecting him to like hold them up in front of an American flag as he tossed them out of the fire truck. But
I mean, speaking of, the Sarah Connor Chronicles has a 9/11 scene.
Yeah, why the fuck wouldn't
why wouldn't it?
Of course it does.
But yeah, it's actually really sorry. Jason talked about this. It's a funny scene because it's Sarah Connor learning what 9/11 is because she time travels in it, and so there's a part where they have to stop and go like, "So you missed something.
Yeah.
We should probably tell you what America's up to right now." Anyway, yeah, no, Arnold does not respect the first responders.
No.
Should we talk about Definitely Not Arnold, our best side character? I have a note on John Connor that I think is very funny.
Sure. So do I.
Okay, it starts with John Connor being like, Judgment Day didn't happen, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. So I live off the grid, so no one can find me. I keep running anywhere, nowhere. And he's in Los Angeles, his hometown.
Yep.
And I was like,
city he grew up in.
Yeah. You bullshit.
Drinking a beer at the same overpass of the LA River.
Yeah. Go to Idaho, John. It's like, I'm living off the grid. It's like, no, you're not. You can
go to Europe.
Your own high school every day.
Go to Central America.
Yeah. He's running into people from high school.
Right. He literally runs into a girl he made out with in middle school.
A girl literally looks at him and goes, "Are you John Connor?"
She hasn't seen him in over a decade. He famously disappeared.
Yeah, in LA. He's just going around getting vet drugs like a scumbag.
A wanted mass murderer.
Yeah.
And his terrorist mom.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah,
bad
it's
job.
wild that he's
bad
still
job.
just like living in Los Angeles. Also, like, this is just Nick Stahl, right?
It is just
played by Nick Stahl, but this is just Nick Stahl, like living off the grid, breaking into veterinary clinics to steal medication.
Yeah. Got that Stahl life. Getting locked in a dog cage. I like how fast that happens to him. I like how quickly
having to come out of hiding every so often so people know he's still alive.
Just checking in.
Look up Nick Stahl, everyone.
He's living the dream.
He's living the dream.
I like how fast it goes from him pointing a gun at her to being locked in a dog cage.
Being locked in a dog cage. Yeah.
He's not good at this.
No, and we also learned it's like an airsoft gun.
Yeah. I like when he holds himself hostage and then the Terminator calls him out for being a coward and won't do it.
There is an 85% chance that you are a bitch.
Yeah. It's a real dick move.
Yeah. So we learned that the Terminator's been programmed to obey Kate, not John. So which is fun. So John really gets shit on a lot. It's a delightful switch because he spends the first part like talking about the burden of being the savior of humanity. So it's nice to have the win, like some of the piss taken out of him a little bit.
Yeah. I have nothing else for him.
No, that's pretty much it. That he's just Nick Stahl.
Kate Brewster super doesn't want to get married and is secretly okay about what happens to Scott. It seems like
she gets over the complete loss of her fiance, father, her life, everything she knew life to be. Every plan and expectation she had for the rest of her life was just blasted apart.
They show the beginning when they're getting married and there's like a moment where she's like, talks about how surreal it is for her. Like you get this feeling that she's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go through with this. And then Scott dies. She cries for one scene and then she's like, nah, I'm fine.
I think that was the tickle of destiny, right? She was feeling the tickle of destiny.
Yeah.
She's about to tie the knot with Scott. She's like, wait, I'm not supposed to marry this guy.
Right. They give her a little more time with her dad. It's a writing thing, right? Where they're like, we can't sit with this for too long. So she has
we got to
to
keep
move
moving. Yeah.
on. Like it's like literally in a day she's going from I'm getting married to this guy is tearing open a coffin filled with guns. And I'm just going to have to accept this.
Punching through his mother's crypt.
Yep. I also like
a coffin full of every G.I. Joe accessory.
Yes. I also like how at no point does she seem scared about getting kidnapped. She is only mad. Like she wants to speak to the manager. She's like a cat constantly trying to scramble away.
I think it's because she knows John Connor.
Exactly. I like how she sizes him up immediately and goes, "You are a dipshit.
Yeah.
And you're
He's
not
a
going
clown.
to kill me."
She takes his gun from him instantly.
Yeah.
Like, he's a clown. And I mean, at this point, she just thinks he's strung out, or he's an addict that broke in and steal medication, and which he basically was. But
yeah, even after the Terminator catches a bullet in his teeth, she runs.
Oh yeah,
I guess. I mean, I would too. But I just love she runs through the tear gas. She is like. I mean, I like the part where she shoots the thing and she's like, "What?" He goes, "Kind of reminded me of my mom that's just there." Like, I liked that idea. That was a fun exchange. The idea being that she has robot fight in her, right? It's in her blood. Like, it's in her blood to say "fuck robots."
Yeah, and she's presumably fired guns.
Yeah. I like that when John Connor starts to ask Terminator how he dies and goes, "No, I don't want to know." She asks anyway, right?
Yeah, because she doesn't care about it. Like, exactly. Like that's why she's mad about being. She's like, really? I'm going to get kidnapped by this guy?
Right.
The guy that I made out with in middle school? The first boy that I kissed?
I'm going to marry him?
I got to sit here with this guy, and he's a loser? He grew up to be a loser.
Right.
I'm getting kidnapped by a loser and his Hulk.
Yep. No respect.
Yeah.
I just love. He's like, "I don't want to know. That'll fuck me up for life." And she's just like, "Well,
how does he die?"
Yeah, let's hear it anyway. I want to know.
It should have been awful.
I don't care.
Like, he should have gone into excruciating detail.
Yeah.
He gets pulled apart. I grab one arm and I grab one ankle and I just rip him apart. Like a
It takes hours.
It takes a really long time.
Real slowly.
Have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
Holy shit.
Anyway.
That's all I have for Kate.
For Kate, yeah.
I want to shout out.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to shout out Scott. Poor Scott.
Poor Scott.
This happy little dildo. The part that I didn't notice that makes me laugh so much this time. So he wakes up like a child. Like he wakes up like, "Oh, honey, is that you?" And it's this hot chick. She twists around in the bed to look at him. And then we see his face and we hear a chainsaw. And I was like, there's no reason for him to be chainsawed.
Why are you chainsawing him?
It's so punishing and unnecessary that Scott, this little guy who's like, "I'm getting married. I'm so excited. I love you so much," gets chainsawed by a robot in bed, and then his fiance barely weeps for him.
Yeah. You were going to get divorced, Scott.
Yeah.
You were going to be living a loveless marriage.
He was going to get chainsawed no matter what. Just
Right,
shoot him.
yeah.
You could just shoot him. There's no reason to
She
chainsaw
has a
him.
laser cannon. This is a good segue because I really want to talk about the TX.
Yeah.
I love the TX.
She has dial-up
Nothing she does makes
capabilities.
sense, but also everything she does makes perfect sense.
Yeah. She's like a fax machine. She makes fax machine noises. Her tits inflate.
Yeah.
Which
She's got those inflatable tits.
they make like an inflation sound.
Yes. Which
We
is
don't need to
weird.
do that.
That's
Yeah.
liquid metal. She doesn't
It implies
literally
she's
have
pumping
something
air.
inflating in there.
She comes when she tastes
comes
John
when she
Connor
tastes
blood.
John Connor's blood. I have that written down. I love that Skynet built a robot that has to taste human blood to analyze
Yeah.
it. Like, it just walks around town tasting blood.
Right? Why doesn't it absorb into her skin? She
'Cause
seems slightly
that's
more
why.
happy and sadistic. Like she has a little more of a. She does have a little more personality. And that personality is that she likes killing.
Yeah.
That's why she chainsaws Scott. She's like, "I like killing. It's fun."
And also, if the T-1000 had the ability to make a chainsaw, he probably would have.
Yeah, that's true.
at some point.
But-
I love that she's just driving around town in a stolen car, executing teens.
Yes.
Like, she kicks her way into that. Well, she just goes to this house party, and like this little 13-year-old answers the door, and she's like, William? He's like, yeah, I'm Bill. She pushes him down and shoots him 6 times.
Right,
Like,
which
count
also means this is a 13-year-old teen who a hot leather-clad chick answered the door. There's probably a chance he died with a very confusing boner.
Oh, yeah.
Too. Like, this poor teen died in such a terrible
He was
way.
already dead.
Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah. The blood left his brain
left his
so
brain.
quickly. Like, his boner inflated too fast and killed him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck.
no, she steals a gun, even though she has a fucking laser cannon that can be
Yeah.
like 6 guns.
Well, that's the thing. She's like a spree robot, but she also... So, like, bad design. Had the T-1000, the multiple times they like stop her or slow her down by hitting her with a car, the T-1000 wouldn't have been slowed down by that. He would have splattered a
Not
little
that
bit,
much.
but like, yeah, and then she gets her shit broken. What she has to do, her secondary weapon, a flamethrower. And I'm like, really? That's the secondary weapon, huh?
Huh. We went from future laser cannon to flamethrower.
It really seems like she's a torture robot that they like threw back in time.
She's
to
somebody's
assassinate.
fetish robot that they...
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, these are very specific weapons you have.
Right. And again, like things like when she finds Kate as Scott, she turns into the Terminator before killing her.
Right.
And I'm like, ugh, I feel like she'd have more
It's
fun
like,
killing
you
her
have
as the one.
to wait.
Yeah.
But she's too stoked on it. You're right. Like, she's so excited about killing somebody that she just can't wait.
Yeah. That's all I got for her.
That's all I had for her, yeah.
I want to shout out Robert Brewster, Kate's dad, because I just want to note it's not really about him, just how funny his journey is, which is that we see him at the weapons place, and he keeps being like, I really don't want to turn on Skynet. I'm really nervous about this AI stuff. It just doesn't seem good. He's ordered to. And then he like hesitates and he finally hits the Y button and goes like, okay, yes, let's do it. And then within 30 seconds, 2 robots have burst in and are fighting each other. And I just think that's so funny that it goes wrong so fast.
It's like a South Park joke.
Yeah,
Why?
Skynet is like literally sitting there like, come on, hit Y, hit Y, hit Y.
Hit
Yeah,
Y.
it's ready. Yeah, it's like within 30 seconds, it's like, oh, it's all over. They've taken over.
Yeah.
There are robots. His daughter runs in, goes like, Dad, no, gets shot and killed by her
Way too many
other
times.
daughter,
Yeah.
who's like, it's a robot. It's like,
Then he is shot.
yeah. Then he's shot. He hits Y, and within 2 minutes, he's
Yeah.
dead.
120 seconds later, he's got several bullets in his gut.
It's so funny.
No, you're
shout out
right.
to
He's
the-
dead. He doesn't leave that room. Yeah.
Well, he dies. I think they bring him to the office, and then he dies. So it's
Yes.
like a
Yeah.
few
Yeah. They get him.
minutes
Yeah.
at
They get him.
most.
He's like, yeah, the codes are in the safe in my office. And I had a funny. Probably the screenwriters had the same kind of whiplash where it's momentary. I was like, well, somebody should ask him for the combination right now in case he dies. And then my brain immediately remembered this is a Terminator movie.
Right.
The Terminator doesn't need a code.
Right. No, he super doesn't.
Mm-mm.
You can just
Doesn't
open-
matter
crack
if
that
he
thing
gets.
open.
Long as we know where the safe is. Honestly, you can kill him now.
Yeah.
He served his purpose. He is no longer
fine.
useful to us.
Yeah. The ladies at the strip club who presumably watch a naked man come into the bar and then forcibly steal the clothes of another man on stage, probably through violence, and they cheer the whole time. When he leaves in the clothes, you still hear the cheering. And I just think that's
So-
funny considering that we don't see it. But
Well, the third
it's like
option.
this-
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. What's the third option?
The third option that you're not considering is that the Terminator snapped into it and they put on an incredible show.
Yeah, and swapped clothes.
They swapped clothes. Yeah.
That would have been a great show. You're
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. He just got into it. It's part of his programming.
Yeah.
I love the company car dude.
Oh, he's perfect.
when-
To me, he felt like a James Cameron type leftover. The guy who's like, geez, what the fuck, man? Or like a 90s.
That's a 90s
Leftover.
guy. That's
Yeah.
more like Glenn Plummer in Speed.
Yeah, like, I'm going to call my lawyer right now. I'm a big fancy hot shot.
So this guy's like he's like an incredibly aggressive version of that dude. He's like this impossibly jacked dude in shorts and sandals, I believe.
Yeah.
Really angry. He's like, this is a company car, dude. And John Connor is just frantically trying to start his stolen pet truck.
Right. And then the guy is like, what are you doing? You kidnapping someone? Like, he doesn't care.
Right. He walks over. He's like, you better not be trying to drive away. If you don't have insurance, I'm going to rip your dick off. And then he gets up and goes, where are you going? And he hears Kate in the back like, help, I'm being kidnapped. He's like, what's going on here?
Right. He's ready to just beat, like, John Connor is so non-threatening that it's like you'd normally say,
nobody
like, this guy might have a gun.
Seriously.
Yeah. No one takes the kidnapping seriously. They're just like, get her out of there,
is
kid.
Barely taking it seriously.
Yeah.
She's only taking it seriously because she's being forced to.
Right. Shout out
I love that guy.
The owner of the cat Hercules, who gets murdered after taking her cat to the vet at 5 a.m. for a fur ball. And it's just like, what's her life?
About him having pneumonia.
Yeah. Yeah.
She didn't have a lot going on, clearly.
No. And the cat will not miss her. Because
Cat's
it's a cat.
in there eating her.
Yeah.
There's just one more line I had to get out from the company car, dude. We got to finish up his journey in this film. So he's up at the truck like, what's going on here? And then we hear the sirens and he looks. And then it cuts down the street. We see the army of police cars and stuff that's chasing after him. He's like, finally, the cops when you need them.
Yep.
And then he gets
very
out of the
90s.
road and points at him. He's like pointing at Nick Stahl's truck as he's speeding away so all the cops get him. And then the Terminatrix comes by in her truck and obliterates his company car.
And
That's
he's
ending
like,
his journey in the film.
yeah.
Company car, no!
Ken, it's so 90s. This guy gets a little arc. He hams it up. He does an amazing job.
He's such a beautiful meatball.
Yeah.
So angry about the company car.
I have some people who are off camera that I want to talk about, but we should shout out Dr. Silberman.
Dr. Silberman, who just shows up at the scene to be a trauma counselor.
Yeah, why is he even working?
But he's clearly still haunted by the T-1000.
Yeah.
Like he barely begins speaking to Kate before he's staring off into the middle distance, talking about seeing impossible things, wondrous things. Crazy things, impossible things.
He's going to eat a gun right after this scene.
Right after
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It feels like someone is putting him on the cases as a joke, like someone who doesn't like him. Or like he's fated for this. Like he's fated to be
so random
not fight the robots,
here.
to be traumatized by the robots.
he's just so haunted by it.
It's very funny.
Oh man.
I have some off-screen people I have to shout out.
Sure.
Mike Kripke's parents, who ran the Fuck House, the teen Fuck House.
Yeah, the Fuck Den.
The Makeout House. Whoever designed the T1s, who said, like, it's a tank. What if we gave it a little head, too?
Yeah.
You see the Fifth Element? Let's give it, like, that little guy's head.
Yeah, let's give it a huge body. It looks like Robbie the robot with guns.
Doesn't need a head.
Like,
doesn't have
instead
arms.
of helping you stack things, he's going to shoot you to death.
Right. It doesn't have expressions. It's just a tank with a little head.
A little head on it, yeah.
Yeah. And then shout out to whoever enacted Sarah Connor's will. Whatever lawyer read, I would like my ashes spread, but I want a dummy coffin filled with guns buried in the event of my death.
A cool ass priest. A priest with a tattoo. Oh, not a priest. A lawyer with a tattoo.
Yeah, filled, like, I assume she provided the guns.
It was presumably her buddies, right? Because she said, Terminator says her friends in Mexico spread her ashes and made sure her will was executed to her wishes. So it's the guys we see in Terminator 2, I assume.
But like that
they
still
had
means
tons of guns.
That still means they drove up.
Mm-hmm.
They bought a coffin. They filled it with guns, and then I guess it's just there's a lot of questions of like. I assume there's a point where when you're burying a coffin, there's an official who's like, we want to know what's in that coffin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's the government, like, that burial ground was made, like they held a funeral, I assume, or they had some sort of, they made that plaque, they had someone put it in there and all that. I don't think they just went to the cemetery and did that. I'm just curious of what that process.
No.
Was
They had
like.
they had to have it interred. I assume they don't. That's
I
not
assume.
like something that you do yourself.
Right, you can't just go to a cemetery with a coffin. Like,
Yeah, we
I'm
got
just
this
gonna pop
coffin. We're
in
going to
here.
stuff it in there. No, we got it.
It's just, I feel like they had to bribe some people probably, and that's
Yeah.
I just want to see that process. That brings us to the most Arnold.
Not yet.
Unless you have any more side characters, yeah.
Whoever that middle-aged lady was driving around Beverly Hills wearing a complete leather catsuit.
She was going to like an Eyes Wide Shut orgy.
That lady was going to fuck some 22-year-old dudes like they've never been fucked before that night.
Oh,
like she was
100%.
about to change the lives of several of the graduates.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really sad that she was taken from us.
I know.
She was.
They would have. They
world.
would have. Man, they would have been gal pals.
Yeah, you're right. She just talked to her.
Yeah.
Where did her? I wonder. Is her body like on a roof somewhere? Like we never really, like
What did she just grab her? Just throw her?
probably, yeah, something like
Wonder
that.
how far a Terminator could throw a person.
Pretty damn far, I imagine. Like, if the right robot.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. They're not like
I wanna see
Superman
them, like,
strong.
Yeah, but I do want to see them like vanish on the horizon.
Because it wouldn't be. I think it would be less about the distance and more about the violence, I think.
Yeah.
Because like a Superman throwing somebody, you just disappear over the horizon. I think a Terminator throwing you is more about how many things you bounce off of.
Yes.
It's going to be a real sloppy throw.
I want Superman to just throw Lex Luthor. It's a funny thing to do because it's like, I'm pretty sure that I like the idea of throwing because it's like, I'm not even bothering to check if he's dead. Like, he's dead.
I'm just going to assume he is.
I'm just going to assume he's dead. There's a very slim amount of things that could happen that would keep him alive.
Right. It's like pushing somebody into a volcano.
Right. It's a very funny thing to do because it's
well, that's that.
It's also like there's like a 50% chance that someone else died because of this. Like he landed on a person.
Sure.
He's probably someone else's problem right now, like by throwing somebody.
Right, but
unless it's towards the ocean.
You're never going to hear about it.
Yeah. Now you're Superman.
Yeah.
even if they find out, they're not going to tell you.
Well, they're going to know exactly who did it.
Yeah.
Seems like this guy was thrown.
Superman acting like he didn't
58 miles.
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know what you mean.
Really?
Who have you been shooting out of cannons?
Yeah.
Not the Man of Steel.
Yeah. I'm good. Remember?
Yeah.
I'm good. Anybody else you want to shout out?
These colors don't run. They fly.
Yeah.
No. I think I'm
All
good.
right. Now it's time for the most Arnold.
Now it's time for the most Arnold moment.
I have 2 lines. What do you
Okay.
got? I have "Drop dead, you asshole," and then he replies, "I am unable to comply."
I'm unable to comply.
That might be it, but I really like the line when they have a moment and he goes, "Your levity is good. It relieves tension and the fear of death." And that's it. I think that's a great line.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of Drax.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of what I mean by Looney Tunes. Like, a little bit of what I mean by Looney Tunes. I'm more talking about like when TX grabs him by the nuts in their fight.
Yeah, the nuts grab is unnecessary.
I think this may be a controversial pick because it's not like super flashy. Well, it is super flashy. It's when the Terminatrix crashes in a helicopter into the bunker, and then Arnold comes in like a minute later,
Smooshes her
in like a much bigger helicopter.
Yes, that does seem like
just
an
like
Arnold
a
note.
much larger helicopter.
That really
It's
feels like an Arnold
It's
note.
just like, I want the helicopter, but a bigger one.
Yeah. Like the
That's all they
Terminator
had.
saw
Like,
some
his-
helicopters
right.
and
His
like
only
purposely
options
went
were
to the biggest one.
helicopters.
Yeah.
And he knew he couldn't take the one that she said, well, it has to be bigger and cooler.
Yep.
So yeah, he
That
picks
is a
this
good Arnold
gigantic
moment.
helicopter. I don't. That's
Yeah. That's like having the minigun in T2 because Jason Ventura had it in Predator.
Yeah.
Where it's like, give it to I need this now.
He gets to shoot another one in this one. But
Yeah.
it reminded me of him. It's like it's like my red Heat. Was that it? No, not Red Heat. It's the one where he fakes his death. Anyway, my pick for that one was where he just drives to the front of a business in his truck with that huge smile on his face.
Right. Because Arnold has always had the like, I want a bigger toy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little like Tom Cruise, but it's more like I want to smash two toys together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good moment.
Yeah, that
brings us. Yeah, that brings us to our rating system, where we give this between 1 and 10 inflated tits.
Mm-hmm.
Our classic Into the Mr. Universe rating. How many tits do you give this? How many ITs?
I'm going to give it 1,000.
For the T1000.
1,000.
I'm going to get it X for the TX.
Ah, see? Yeah, it's good.
He calls her the Terminatrix at one point.
Yes.
Does someone else prompt him to call her that?
Nobody else said it.
No one else. Yeah, he was like, I'm trying to make this a thing.
I'm trying to make it a thing. Does Nick Stahl say it, or is it Arnold?
It's Nick Stahl.
That's okay. That's what I thought.
No one respects.
Well, how does he know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just coming up with names.
Yeah.
It's a character. It's a comic book
it.
he created, and he's trying to sell. Like, that's the future he has for himself. So I'm going to turn all my robot adventures into a comic book, and they'll be cool, and nobody will know it's from my real life.
Oh, I really want. It would be great if they made him like he just keeps talking about Scientology throughout, or something like that. Like he's been through a few cults at this point. Like, John
he's trying out churches. He's seeing trying to figure out where he belongs.
Yeah, just more of a scumbag.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I wanted to have more of that Trifter energy. Like everywhere they go, he steals napkins and like he just he's
napkins
just casually,
and toothpicks, sugar packets.
Yeah, he's just like always casually in that mode.
You never know.
Yeah. I guess that's it. I
think so. Yeah.
Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. What's his next film after this?
Man, I think it's Around the World in 80 Days.
Fuck. Is that a big...
No, that is a cameo. So I think we can skip that one. I think it might be The Last Stand.
Jesus.
Or like The Expendables.
Right. So Terminator 3, then Around the World in 80 Days, then The Kid and I. Is he big in that?
I don't think so.
Then The Expendables 1. Is he big in that?
No, he's not really big in... He's a supporting character in all of them. And in that first one, it's way more of a cameo. Because
then we have The Expendables 2.
He's a bigger character in that.
So maybe we can cover that. The Last Stand, which I haven't seen.
He's the main character in that, and his sidekick, Dave, is Johnny Knoxville.
We'll definitely watch that.
He's the sheriff of a small town, Dave.
Escape Plan. Is that the first time he's done something? No, The Expendables.
Expendables.
I was going to say with Stallone. Sabotage. Expendables 3. Then Maggie. And then we get back into Terminator Genesis. A bunch of like WWE stuff. Something called Aftermath. Let's see. Killing Gunther. Or Why We're Killing Gunther.
I've seen Killing Gunther.
Iron Mask, Terminator Dark Fate. And then it just starts to get muddy here where it's like, I guess those are TV series. I think that might be it. We'll work it out.
Yeah,
we'll
piece it together.
He's got a bunch of things coming up, including something called State Farm Like a Good Neighbor, which I assume is a Super Bowl ad. I'm just going to assume that.
That's what it sounds like. Either that or he's become a machine.
Yep. He is set up for The Legend of Conan.
Well, let's hope so at long last.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll figure out where the definitive list of where we're going from here.
Yeah, he does start to really take much more of a back seat.
Right.
After he's governor. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll chat. We'll chat with Norm from Cheers, our wonderful producer who made this happen.
Indeed.
Thank you, Norm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember them saying Terminatrix in all the marketing, but the only time you hear it in the movie.
I remember the voiceover in one of the trailers that went, "There's a new Terminator."
The Terminatrix.
Yeah, and it was like Everett collective groans of like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it didn't feel like they had the right. Again, good ideas, but it feels like it's
also there were
just
bad ideas.
Right. It feels like there were so many notes, right? There were so many people with so many ideas of what a Terminator movie needs to be.
Yeah,
That's why I'm surprised by the end.
It didn't feel. That is definitely the case, but I think I've just gotten, and I'm sure everybody else has too, because it's just been what blockbusters have been. I guess I've just gotten used to movies that have been noted to oblivion way more than this.
Yes. But
like this still feels like a mostly intact vision in some spots.
Well, that's the thing is like, okay, James Cameron's gone, right? So
Yeah.
it's like he would have been the final say. He would have been the guy who would have said like, yes, no, yes, you know?
Yeah.
But because it's a new director, he's probably a little more like, okay, well, I don't know. Like he's probably getting notes from Cameron. Oh, I think probably produced this or had some
He
say.
gets a
I
credit
imagine.
on it, but I think that's the
probably
only
got-
involvement he had. Yeah,
Right. He probably got notes from Arnold, you know? And so
for
like,
sure. Yeah,
it just feels a little, that's why the ending's surprising because the ending to me feels like a very direct and bold creative vision.
yes,
And I'm like,
it is a
that's-
decision.
right.
This is a dour movie.
Right. And it feels like is like us. I bet the studio was like, no. And like people fought for that. It feels like,
I think all you.
but I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe the
yeah.
studio was still at a time where they're like, we trust your vision, you know, but it like,
Maybe.
that's what it is. It's like, this does feel like, because as we get more legacy sequels and stuff, this happens more and more, right? Where it's like the
Yeah.
moment Star Wars is out of Lucas's hands, James Cameron is no longer making Terminator. Alien is no longer like, well, Alien was kind of always a little like,
Alien was always a
passed
Fox
around.
property. Yeah,
but like then we get this like rudderlessness where it's like, well, who's in charge now? And it's like, well, how these 6 guys are in charge now. Like the person who was holding it together. Sometimes it's the actor. I know Die Hard in later ones, Bruce Willis was the guy because he's like, listen, you can't make these without me, can you?
right, exactly. And I'm sure,
yeah.
like, I can see a I don't know, but I could see a situation if they didn't like this ending, and all it would take would be for Arnold to be like, well, this is the ending I want the movie to have. So
Exactly. Like I feel like all you have to do is
seems
convince
like we're at an
Arnold.
impasse.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks
it's
again, Norm.
Good
from
ending.
Cheers. Good ending.
Good ending.
Yeah.
Thank you. Norm.
This we have a Patreon. This is what this was through. Patreon.com/gamefully unemployed. For just $5 of your dollars a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, Spiel Boys, Himboos, our brand new Supernatural podcast. Those are all for $5. If you want to kick in a little more, there's other tiers like watching movies with us every Friday night, like custom We Just Watched episodes, and more. So check that out.
Mini-series like this.
Like this.
We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original artwork by cool original artists like Michael Vincent Branley, Starlene Hodge, Justin Brown, and others. So check that out. Rate and review our podcast wherever you listen to them.
Yes. Rate
Yeah.
and review.
Check out our new show, Badical, Badical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try
And-
find a good bunker. Don't get in the bunker with Chris Hardwick. That's the bad bunker.
Yeah, you don't want to be
You don't
in the
want
Chris
that bunker.
Hardwick bunker. Try to find. I don't know.
He's in this movie. That's why I brought him up.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the one of the techs at the very end
Oh, jeez.
when her dad is walking down the hallway and he's surrounded by eggheads. He's the egghead on camera left. Brewster's
Oh,
right.
that's funny. Oh,
He's
we didn't talk about
heavier at this time, but it's Hardwick.
we didn't talk about the deleted scene that I adore.
Oh
and I know,
man,
and they-
where the Austrian dude gives him the voice.
yeah, it's a bad scene. That's why I adore it. Where they're watching an infomercial for Skynet, and they have Arnold as the lead scientist with a heavy Southern accent. And he's talking about, it's an origin of why does the Terminators look like Arnold? It's modeled off of the scientist. And then they are focus grouping it, and they go like, what do you think? And they're like, well, the voice is a little too much. And then an Austrian man with Arnold's voice goes, it can be changed. Very stupid cutscene. Everybody watch it.
We don't need all that.
We don't need it. And they were like, yes, we don't need that.
But I mean,
Cut.
like that's kind of the, yeah. Anyway,
Again, that was like, man, silly movie, silly shit.
yeah. All right, I think we can be done. with
Yeah, we can go. All right, bye everybody.
this. Bye.
Australia